All right, and we're live with Shelf Space, episode 27. This is a special episode. This is the Statue Awards results reveal.
Wow.
Big episode. So we got our regular host. We got Charles from out in Montreal.
Hey, everybody.
Gina, a little under the weather today, but she'll
Hello.
give it a go from
Yep.
Toronto.
Total
And
trooper sticking it out.
yeah, and of course myself. I'm Chris. I'm live from Edmonton, where we just came out of a deep freeze, but um, that's nothing new. Um, but we had the Statue Awards competition to keep me warm. It was hot competition. So we're going to get into it. We've got the lineup of categories there to the right. So we'll start off with the bus category. But before we get into that, I just want to touch on one quick thing because I do get asked this sort of every year, like how do we come up with these nominees? What gives? Why isn't this statue on or that statue on or whatever? And I just want to point out, this isn't just my list of favorites. Okay, so I am keeping track of as many statues as I possibly can throughout the year. There was over 500 from 2019
Jeez.
and over 50 companies, so we try to keep track of them all. We put them all into a list with photos, and I get, fellow reviewers and collectors that I trust. Charles and Gina are on there, and we vote on these things. So that's one source of data, and there's a fan write-in period throughout December where people can write in, tell me what they think should be nominated. So I got that. This year we had the industry award. We'll talk more about what that is later on, but I took that data and used that. I'm also talking to the producers. What do you think? What's your favorite statue that you put out this year? What do you think? What are you most proud of? What do you think's the best one? I use that. I'm doing polls on the YouTube channel, Facebook page throughout the year. So there's a lot of data that comes into this, and then we shorten it down. Then we watch reviews, look at the in-hand pictures, make sure that this statue actually did turn out the way it should have, and we put it all together, come up with a short list. So that's what we do. My personal favorite isn't even on the list, so there we go. That said, let's kick
We'll
things
have a
off.
chance. We'll have a chance to talk about that. What your favorites were and if they didn't make it.
Yeah, we'll go through that with each category. So we're going to start off with best bust. We'll just quickly show remind everybody what the nominees were for this category. So we have from left to right, we had the Pure Arts T800. This is like a mask style bust. I remember last year they actually won with their Joker.
Right. Very nice.
Which was the same style. We had the White Ranger from Pop Culture Shock, the Balrog from Weta, Thanos life-size bust, Queen Studios. We had the Lizard 1/4 scale bust from XM, Venom life-size bust. I think we've all seen that one at the various conventions.
New York Comic Con last year, 2 years
Gina,
ago.
Gina, did you see it? Was it there this year?
No, I haven't seen it. It wasn't there at New York.
Okay.
No.
We had Regal Robot. This is a newer company for me. I hadn't seen much from them before, but they had the Chewbacca life-size bust, which looked pretty cool. And then in the bang for buck category, we had the Rorschach bust from Diamond Select. That's about a half-scale bust. So what we're going to do for each category, we're going to go through, I'm going to ask Charles and Gina, what were your predictions for each category? So out of those 8 or 7 or 8 or wherever we had, what did you think was going to win, Charles?
I'm kind of like Balrog, Venom, one or the other. I think is going to get it. I was lucky enough to see the Venom 2 years ago. That one had enormous presence.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I think I'm gonna go with Venom. I think Balrog
Okay.
is a very close second, just in my head, speaking for me.
Yep.
But I think Venom will probably take it this year as Bust of the Year.
Okay, I should point out that Charles and Gina don't know any of the results. So they are guessing.
By design.
Yeah,
We didn't
but-
want to know.
Yeah. Gina, what do you think for best bust?
I think it's sort of a close competition between the Thanos and that Terminator one. That's what I would pick. Or that's what I think will most likely win those two. I think it'll be a close competition.
Yeah, it's a
Mo-
little bit different to say
Yeah,
what do you want to win and what do you think's going to
exactly.
win.
What do
So
I
we're
think
going with
is
what do you
going to
think's going to win. Yep.
exactly? And I think it's got close competition between those two. I'm going to put my money on the Terminator. I think maybe
Okay.
would get more people's votes.
Okay. So we're gonna go. We're gonna do the top three from each category. So we'll start off third place. Whoops. Is sorry, gave it away. Well, third place we had the Venom life-size bust from Sideshow Collectibles. It got 12.4% of the vote.
Wow.
So it finished third. That's a pretty good showing. It's a nice bus. We like I said, we've seen it. Charles and I have seen it. I've seen it a couple times, and both times thought it looked really, really good. So that's in third. In second place, another one of Charles's picks here. We had the Balrog from Weta Workshop out of New Zealand. So what's interesting about these pieces from Weta is these are the people who worked on the movie,
Oh
right?
yeah.
These are the original sculptors of the Balrog props. So this is about as close as you're gonna get for a collectible. So those two, second and third, the winner is the Thanos life-size bust from
Oh,
Queen Studios.
Wow. Good. Oh, the
I
Queen
was close.
Studios.
Yeah,
I
That's
was
very
close.
yeah,
interesting for them to come through.
it is because they're based in China. Their products don't get around the world as much as some others. So I was a little bit surprised, but it's super impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the pictures. The more and more people are getting it now. It did squeak out last year, but the pictures are amazing. I mean, it turned out exactly what they intended. And remember, we saw the Terminator that they had at New York. So some of their busts, they're doing some amazing things. They're using medical grade silicone. They've got glass eyes, like medical grade glass eyes. So
Yeah.
if you ever lose your eye, that's what's going into that's going into your head. You just pull it out of your statue. You're good to go.
I
So
think next year will be very interesting for this category with the Queen Studios. If the Wonder Woman comes out, for example.
while there's Queen Studio, Infinity Studios doing a similar style stuff with the silicone and the real hair and all that. They just didn't have anything come out last year, so thinking it's going to be pretty competitive for 2020.
Yes, it will.
Um, so a couple people watching the show. We got John Band. Rick, he always watches the show eventually. Spiritual Gaming. So thanks for watching, guys. We just revealed the best bust winner, Queen Studios Thanos. So we're going to move on to best gaming statue. Okay, so once again, we'll remind everybody what we had uh, up for nomination this year. Starting left to right, we had Mai Shiranui from Connecticut's. Adib has been on the show before. I think we talked about that statue. We had Alucard from Gantaku, a company out of China. We had Samus from First Four Figures. Zero from HMO. We had Altair from Pure Arts, the Assassin's Creed statue. Uh, Lara Croft from Weta again, getting into the gaming arena there. They took a little more realistic take on the character, which was kind of neat to see. Goro from PCS. This is a 1/3 piece. It's enormous. And another enormous piece here. We had Mr. Freeze from Prime One Studio there on the end. A friend of mine, Adam, just picked that piece up and loves it. Says it's amazing. So there we go. So just to remind you guys, so same thing. We'll start with Charles again. What was your prediction for best gaming statue
Okay.
2019?
I have the three here, and I think the Mai is going to win the Hubba Hubba
Okay.
award because that's just like, how does she keep everything in that costume? Uh, Definitely an eye opener. I
Yep.
really like the Pure Arts one. The Assassin's Creed
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
really looked nice. Um, the how do I put this? The Prime One, Mister Freeze, I really liked, but I could have liked more, and I'll explain very briefly. The snow icy effect on the base, it looked more like splotchy paint than actual icing. and it kind of lost a few points in my eyes because of that one. I would have picked that one first if the icing just looked better on the base. I think
Okay.
the execution wasn't ideal, but the sculpt itself looks good. So I would have given the Prime One third, the My second, and the Assassin's Creed first.
Okay.
Just
Pure Arts.
visually, yeah. Pure
Okay. Gina.
Arts.
Um, my choices are actually the same as Charles, but in a different order.
Okay.
I think that the Mr. Freeze actually, I think that that is the best gaming statue of the year.
Okay.
I think I mean, it came in with such a high cost, and but people didn't really care. They're like, holy shit, this is a whole nother level in terms of the
Yeah.
sculpt, and so I think that I would think that would win. I think that would garner more votes.
Okay.
And then how do you pronounce it? Is it
I think it's my.
mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think I think that would be number two.
Okay.
I think those two would be very close, Mr. Freeze and mine, but I think Mr. Freeze might win out.
Okay. And then you have the
And
Assassin's Creed.
exactly would be third because I that one is a beautiful statue as well.
Okay, so we're going to reveal the top three here. So we have in third place, we've got Zero from
Wow.
HMO. So this one
You did
came
not
in,
call that one.
this is in red, comes in red and black. I actually just reviewed the black version. It is a really nice statue, really well done from HMO. And they actually won it last year, so they have some experience in this category. Number two, Mr. Freeze. Came in
Oh,
second place, 16.9% to the vote. That was the one I was predicted as well. I thought Mr. Freeze was going to take it if I had to pick myself. Um, Now, the winner, you guys ready?
yep.
Altair from Pure Arts
There you
Really?
go.
wins the best gaming statue. And I'm actually going to be reviewing this piece right away. I'm actually looking at it just off to my left. It is really nice. It did turn out very well. So
Absolutely.
um, good. And we saw.
Congratulations, Pure Arts.
Yeah, so this is second year in a row they've picked up an award. Last year it was Best Bust. This year they got Altair. And I think they're going to be competitive again in 2020. I mean, we saw the Ezio at New York, all three of us. And that one I think might even be better than Altair. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Interesting thing about Pure Arts is they seem to have their own production studio, meaning like
Yeah, they're getting things out quick.
where the statues are being made, they own or co-own the facility or something, and they can even keep costs down. What That's why it's the price was amazing for this next line that's coming up. This next one.
Yeah. Yeah, so hey, big congrats to Pure Arts, winner best gaming statue with Altair. All right, so we're gonna move on to the anime and manga um, side of things. So this is a little different from previous years. I just want to explain. This is the first year we've kind of separated things completely by genre. We used to have kind of everything lumped in to the small, medium, large, extra
Yeah,
large,
that didn't
and
work.
well, yeah, and there's a couple reasons why we split things up this year. First and foremost, the anime side of things is now kind of robust enough to do that. I mean, when we first started, there was Sume. Sume was making high end anime stuff, and that was about it. And the last couple years, we've seen more and more companies pop up. We got Figurama, we got Oniri Creations, Ryu Studio, Prime One Studios doing a lot of anime stuff. XM has dipped their toe into it with the One Punch Man. So there's just more and more big time high end anime stuff. So that's the one. That's the biggest reason. The second reason was just me kind of being stubborn. I thought every year I thought, okay, this is the year that everyone accepts, whatever wins, and it just didn't happen. What just didn't happen? There was fighting every year, so we
Well,
just split
with
it
all
off.
due respect, it's like putting best documentary and best comedy in the same category.
Yeah, yeah,
It's okay to have separate categories, and it makes more sense.
yeah. It does, but at the end of the day, I wanted a best picture, right? A best statue, and they're all competing. But we finally we switched it up. So Anime and manga, they're separate this year. So this is the first year we've done it. So we'll start off with the medium, best medium manga and anime statue. Again, we'll remind
Okay.
everybody what was up for award here. Starting again left to right, we had the Death Note Light and Ryuk from Oniri Creations. I thought that one looked really cool. It was one I had my eye on kind of all year, and it turned out really well. We had the One Punch Man from Sume. We had Sasuke from Ryu Studio there, the guy with the sword. Right beside him, the guy with the spiky hair and the sword as Kenpachi. Then we had Evangelion from Infinity Studio there down at the bottom. Toshiro from Sume, the icy looking thing there. And then we had Kaneki versus Yamori from Figurama Collectors there on the right hand side. So there you have it. Those are all the nominees. Let's do this again. We'll start with Gina this time. Gina, what if you had to pick from there what you thought was going to win?
I think what stands out to me, what I think may garner the most votes, is the One Punch Man. I think
Mm,
it just has a huge fan base. And I think they did an
Uh huh.
excellent job with that piece. So I would say that would be number one in terms of votes. Um, I'm trying to think of the other choices. I think also that for the same reason, I would say the Evangelion one as well, is because that just has a huge fan base, and I thought that would turn out really well. I think those two, I would say.
Okay, Charles, what about you?
Um, I almost feel bad for the other companies. I think Sumi just another home run year for them. Like the Toshiro, the other one's called Saitama. Is that
Yeah,
am I pronouncing
yeah,
that correctly?
yeah.
Like both of those, the Saitama's probably first, the Toshiro second, and the other one, the Death Note. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yep,
Those
yep.
would be my three, but I think Sumi is in a class by itself. These guys are just so amazing. Could you imagine if they started to do Marvel and DC with that kind of detail and
Well,
that kind of
yeah, we'll
I
say quickly, we'll touch on that. Sume did have an excellent year, and they are starting to expand beyond anime. They had Gears of War statues, so they're getting into the gaming arena. That looked really cool, and they have a Predator, life-size bust, based on like a movie style Predator. So branching out, so that's good to see.
good.
And then hopefully even more coming from them in 2020. But so we'll start this off um, with third place. Let me find it here. Third place
Ah,
was the Death Note from
okay.
Oniri Creations. So they're a newer company, and I think this might have been, if it wasn't their first statue, it's one of their first couple statues, um, and it turned out really, really well. So deserving there for a smaller
Did
company to
you
come in third.
review this one by any chance?
No, no, I've never seen it in
Okay.
person. I just saw it through vicariously through people's
Yeah,
photos and videos, and it looked really, really good. So,
it does.
um, number two, second place,
Yeah.
Saitama, the One Punch Man from Sume.
Huh?
Well, look
So
at
there you
that.
have it. So that statue looks amazing too.
Yeah.
Uh, Great production from Sume. They did a great job with it. And at number one, first place, we have. There we go from Figurama, Kaneki versus Yamori.
Oh,
The
there you go.
Ah.
best medium anime manga statue. Well deserved. This one I did review, and it did turn out really well. Yeah, a nice light up feature with some flickering effects there. Heavy, good quality. Everything went together well. So with nice paint on it, but definitely deserving. Figurama took
Very
that one
nice.
home. So the Susume throne, at least in the medium category, have been dethroned for at least 1 year.
Mm.
One year, they're
Yeah,
still getting top notch awards. The Figurama piece is very nice, but that kind of pose where the character is attacking from above, and
yeah.
you know it looks like the Devilman one.
It yeah.
It's similar design,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of lost points for me there because of that.
Yeah, but that for them that was a big breakthrough piece for them. Like that one, up until then they had some nice pieces, and they all did sell out, but that one sold out in like a day or 2 days or something like that. It was a huge success for them, and it really sort of snowballed, and then every piece since then has sold out even faster.
Yeah,
And when I
that's
asked,
interesting.
the one thing I
Sorry, go ahead.
asked
Go ahead.
Shinab last year at Wonder Festival, when I got to talk with the owner of Figurama, I said, well, what's your favorite statue that you've done? If you had to pick one, and that was his choice too, it was Kaneki versus Yamori. So good for him. Good for Figurama. Well done. Well deserved. Good piece. So we're going to move on to
Hold
large
on,
anime.
just before you go,
Okay,
a
sure.
very interesting point about Figurama is they seem to have a very loyal fan base. I mean, they're quiet, they buy their stuff, they're loyal, they sell out quickly. Like, who are these people and where are they? Clearly there's a large fan base and
Hmm.
they sell this stuff out. It would be interesting to have more of these fans come out and
Well,
do reviews
there's a
and
few
show us.
in the chat right now. I know Stacy. I've met Stacy actually. She was at Wonder Festival last year. She's watching the show.
Hi,
So
Stacy.
she's a very active in the group, and she'd be able to tell you all about it, I'm sure. And I'm in the group too. And we'll talk more about that in a second here. But we'll
Okay.
talk best large anime statue.
All right.
Well, I'll go through the nominees here. We had from Sume on the left, Natsu Dragon Slayer. Enormous statue. I mean, all kinds of clear resin and stuff happening there with the dragon head. It's a really, really cool looking piece. We have Guts Berserker Armor from Prime One Studio. We had Spike Spiegel from First Four Figures. Vash the Stampede from Figurama. We had Luffy from a company called Unique Art, a new company, I think, based out of China. And I saw that one at Wonder Festival. Very cool piece. Broly, that's the guy with the big yellow ball there from Dragon Ball. That's from Sume. And then on the end, we have from Prime One Studio, the Evangelion, I think sculpted by our friend Marco Plouffe.
Wow.
That one. So, nice lineup there. So, you guys, Charles, we'll start with you again. Predictions.
I'm gonna go. Just gonna pick one here because I felt one stood out in the bunch, and second and third was a little
Yeah,
bit
no, go
more
ahead.
distant than usual. David Giroux, Vash.
Vash
I
Stampede.
thought that one was just amazing. Just the way they somehow executed the tattered jacket. Specifically, I just thought that this was such a home run. David Giroux, if you're watching, excellent job on this one, and it's my pick for large manga statue of the year.
Okay. Gina?
No, I was thinking the exact same thing. I think Vash just really, enthralled the collectors, those that got it and even those that didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, those, you could even call it, you could perhaps call it an overly complex statue, too complex to put together, but that didn't seem to dissuade collectors from enjoying it. There's like, this character deserves this type of complexity. So that I would say would get the most votes.
Yeah.
And then the other one I would say is, do you pronounce it Yuli, the one where he has the ball coming out by
Broly.
yeah,
I
Broly,
think
that
that's
one.
how you say it. I should say
Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce a lot of the stuff, so I'm just
Yeah.
winging it.
Because that's from
We're
Dragon
all
Ball
winging it.
Z, right?
That's Dragon Ball. That's like the
Yeah, I
biggest.
don't watch. Yeah, I don't watch Dragon Ball Z. So, but that one I would think as well might get in the top three.
Okay.
And then maybe even the Evangelion as well. I think that was a really cool piece.
All right. Well, let's get into it. We're gonna start third place from Prime One Studio. We have the Guts Berserker Armor. That's in third.
Oh, okay.
Very cool piece. That's very popular anime series and manga. So lots of people like that one. From second place, we got Sume Broly. There you go. So the big reveal, the winner, best large anime manga statue 2019,
Vash.
Vash the
Yeah.
Stampede.
Yeah.
There you go. Both you guys got that one right, and it cleaned up. The Figurama fans really showed up for that one. Great statue. I got a chance to review that one. And just like you said, there's a ton going on there. Amazing piece, really. complex, definitely. It took some time to put together. It's big, it's heavy, takes up a lot of space, but very, very cool. So Dave, definitely deserving. So good, congrats to Figurama. Picked up clean sweep of the anime category.
Yep.
And so,
Interestingly about the Vash, just let me add one point. When you
sure.
see that kind of complexity, as Gina mentioned, it becomes like an industry standard, right? Like, hey, they were able to do something different, something new, take sculpting and production to a different level, and you kind of got to follow that if you're going to enter this industry. You got to be
Yeah.
able to do, but not everybody shares their secrets. So you're going like, how did they do that? What materials did
It,
they use? What's the mix of materials? Like 40% of this, 20% of that. You
yeah,
know,
it's all secret.
it's
It's
all
all
things
trade
that's
secrets, but they did
right.
some cool. The way they broke that one down, I don't know if it was David that did. I can't remember. We had him on the show, but I can't
Yeah.
remember if he did the engineering on it or if Figurama did it. But whatever, whoever did a great job. It went together a lot easier than you might expect.
Yeah.
So and it when they broke it down, it shipped like a bulletproof box. It was really nice piece. So definitely deserving there.
Good stuff.
All right,
Figurama,
so
congratulations.
Figurama, clean sweep. Okay, let's move on. We're going to move into the comics. This is comics, movies, and all original IPs. We're lumping in
Great.
as one here. So maybe down the line, if the originals take off, they'll get their own category. But for now, they go here.
All
Okay,
right.
so we're going to start off best small. So this is under 1/7 scale. Okay, this is a little different. I should say for the anime, the medium was everything under 1/4 scale. Large was everything 1/4 and up. Right? There's not enough to have the small, medium, large, extra large. So we just did the two. Um, Comics and movies, we split it up a little bit further because there's more. So we're going to start off with the small. Again, this is 1/8 scale and smaller. Okay, so here is the banner just to remind everybody. We had on the left from Royal Selangor, this is the Magneto. Then we had from Kotobukiya the Doctor Strange, part of their new Artifacts Premier line. We had from DC Collectibles the Devastator, Batman Devastator from the Dark Knight Metal series. Gandalf from Iron Studios, there in the middle, part of their art scale, the 1/10 scale line. Then we had Wonder Woman from DC. It's part of their Artist Alley that's based on Chrissy Zulo, her artwork. Then we had Thanos from Iron Studios there, the Endgame Thanos. We had the Gentle Giant Venom, part of their animated statue line, which is pretty robust now. They got a lot of characters going. And Chronicle Collectibles we had from Jurassic World, Owen and Blue on the end. That statue was a long time coming. I've had it on my watch list for quite a while, and it finally came out 2019. So, okay, Gina, let's start with you.
I
Your prediction.
so number one. Sorry, can I see the list one more time?
Yeah, just one sec. Uh, There we go.
Okay, so number one, I'm thinking the Iron Studios Thanos.
Okay.
That might get the most votes, and I think the Gentle Giant Venom. I think their new line with that is being received really well, so that might be in the top three as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, there's one more there. Just put it right back. One sec.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. There you go.
Oh, the Devastator
Okay.
by DC. So, but
Okay.
I think number one would be Thanos. That's my prediction.
Okay. Charles.
I also picked three, but before the this scale is very interesting because it is the scale that has the most different types of styles. Like most of the other styles are kind of like action pose, museum pose, like superhero-y.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this scale, it has the cutesy, it has the kitschy, it has something you can see in your daughter's room, right? The
Yeah.
statues with the big tummies, the statues that look like the superheroes are in diapers. I'm not generally drawn to that kind of cutesy type of sculpt, but you know, uh, it's affordable. A lot of people can get into collecting by starting on this line, but so it makes it a challenge to choose because clearly there's a market for it, even though I'm not buying mine. All right, so number one, I actually think Venom will win. I think that's number one. Number two, this is just a personal choice. I really thought the Doctor Strange came up nice. And
Hmm.
I'm going to give number three to the Magneto. HMO? That HMO?
It was Royal Selangor, the pewter one.
Royal Selangor.
Yeah.
But was that an HMO team up? Or was it
Well,
just
it
with
was it
Faisal?
was Mufazal that sculpted
Yeah.
it, who is from HMO, but he did it as freelance, I guess, with Royal
Side job.
Selangor. Yep.
Those would be my three. I think the Magneto is interesting. We're starting to see companies trying to experiment with new mediums, with pewter, with metal. Let's see what the industry will say. What will fans buy it? Royal Selangor seems to have their hands in a bunch of different pies right now. So
Well, they're yeah, they
gonna
that
spread the wealth.
company's been around. I mean, they started out making dishes
Yeah,
and vases and whatever, and have dipped into this collectible genre and are slowly gaining steam, and they look really nice. Gino, remember Charles? We saw them saw a couple of
yeah.
them at
Yeah.
the
I
XN
have two
replica
of them.
ones.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
two of them.
Oh,
They are very
which ones?
nice. I have
Which ones do you
the
have?
Princess Leia, slave Princess Leia, where she's laying down.
Okay,
Right.
So she's in her slave suit, and then I have the Boba Fett. Um,
okay.
yeah.
I've had my eye on the Spider-Man for years,
Mhm.
and haven't bit the bullet. But I have the
Yeah.
Magneto, awesome statue. So okay, we'll start off number three. Uh, we have Gandalf, and this is from Iron Studios, part of their 1/10 scale art scale line. And
S-
go ahead.
Stacy from the chat said that that was her choice
Yeah, I think she said
with
Weta,
Gandalf.
but it's actually Iron Studios that
Okay.
made this one. But yeah, that was her choice.
Mhm.
Really cool piece. I saw it in San Diego. It's just it's an example of what Iron Studios is doing in this small scale, with amping up the texture, amping up the details, the likeness, the environmental bases, and everything. Because it used to be their art scale line was you'd get the figure and you'd get a plain black pentagon for a base, just a flat slab. And
Right.
now you're getting these environmental. It's just really, really pushing the envelope here.
It's a nice
Number
piece.
two, we got from Kotobukiya,
Ha!
Doctor Strange, number two.
I
And
I didn't think people were going to choose that one.
Yeah.
but
Wow.
what's interesting, I mentioned this as part of their new Artifacts Premiere line, and it's the same thing as what Iron Studios is doing. It's better sculpts, better portraits, better texture, more detail. This one has a light up base, so you're seeing things in these smaller scales that you weren't seeing before. So they're becoming just better looking pieces overall. So there's number two, number three, Iron Studios, and Kotobukiya.
Number
And
one.
number one, we have again from Iron Studios. This is the
Whoa.
Thanos
Ah,
from
I was
Endgame
right.
Thanos. Yep. So Iron Studios won this category last year. They had the Hulkbuster in the 1/10 scale line. I think they're really becoming sort of the leader.
Yeah,
And we
I
saw,
would agree.
as I
Yeah.
mentioned, Kotobukiya I think is following in their not copying them, but following their lead in amping up the detail, just doing more. And I think this small scale line, it might maybe we'll see a resurgence or a boost in popularity
Yeah.
um, in the
It's
years to
it's
come.
very interesting that in this category, when I was choosing my three, it was kind of like I was saying, spreading the wealth, choosing a cutesy one, choosing a new design, choosing
Hmm.
a typical Marvel stance, and it looked like when people went for choosing their favorite statues, the cutesies didn't win. Not even
Yeah,
nowhere in the
Yeah,
three.
I thought that Venom would definitely be at least in the top three. I wasn't sure it was going to win, but I thought it'd at least be in the top three because that line has been so well received.
it's
Uh,
been going on a long time, and
yeah,
people continue to buy it. So obviously,
yeah,
there's fans out there, um, and it's a different style, but it doesn't mean it's easy, right? I had that conversation with someone. I'll leave it unnamed. That it just because it looks cuter or less detailed doesn't mean it's easy to do or make easy to pull off and make look good next to these other ones. So it's still a good piece, but yeah, top three we had Gandalf, Doctor Strange, and Thanos. Okay, so we're gonna move on to medium statue, best medium statue in the comics movie original category, and quickly we'll go through the The nominees again. We had here's the Iron Man that we saw at New York Comic Con from Royal Selangor. This is a replica of the XM Studios Iron Man, but in a smaller scale. This is 1/6 scale. We had Storm from Kotobukiya, Batgirl and Nightwing from DC Collectibles, and then we've got from Infinity Studio. This is called the Encounter. It's an original design with the dragon kind of meeting a mouse for the first time, so kind of a neat little scene there. And then from Tweeterhead, we had the classic Catwoman, a company called Quantum Mechanics, who are probably better known for their Q-Fig figures, the small little PVC figures. This Batman is a larger scale. It's more of a statue than a PVC figure. So that's called the Bat Family. Then we had from Weta, we had Arwen and Frodo. And then on the end there, we had Martian Manhunter, the character that just doesn't get enough love, in my opinion. The Martian Manhunter turned out great from Tweeterhead. So, Gina, what do you think?
I'm thinking number one in terms of votes is the Martian Manhunter. I think
Okay.
people have been, collectors and comic book fans have been hammering, for more, Martian Manhunter. He doesn't get the respect. He doesn't get he doesn't get the number of pieces or collectibles that he deserves.
Definitely not.
So I would say that one,
Okay.
just because of fan appreciation. And then I want to choose the Royal Sangagers Iron Man.
Yeah.
Only issue is that just because it's a previous sculpt.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think, I mean, but I think it's beautifully done. I did see it in New York. And then, can you just see the list one more time? Because I knew I had, sorry, I
Okay.
know I had.
Let me just find it here. There we go.
Thanks. Definitely the quantum mechanics Batman. I think will be up
Okay.
there. Yeah,
Okay, so that's the cutesy one.
that's the cutesy
Yeah.
one. I'm picking a cutesy one again.
Okay.
But once again, I think that people, from what I've seen, the online reactions to the statue, extremely favorable.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you know what? I'll leave the Iron Man in my list as well. So, so number one, I would say is the Martian Manhunter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Charles, you need to see the list?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I picked them.
Okay.
It's very interesting. I have very similar selections as Gina, but just a different order.
Okay.
I think number one is the Bat Family. I think
Okay.
that one will win it. Number two was Martian Manhunter. And I've seen pictures of it. This one came out really well, and
Did.
Tweeterhead is doing such a great job.
They do.
They are kind of revitalizing interest in the Bowen scale, and they managed to somehow keep it affordable. So it kind of begs the question: why aren't other people as affordable? But that's a question I don't think we can answer.
No.
And
It's
number
beyond
three,
over our heads.
Number three, I was kind of teetering back and forth with the Iron Man Royal Selangor and the Frodo, Arwen on the horse. And I'm going to go with the Arwen and Frodo, and for one main reason that it wasn't an original sculpt. The XM1 wasn't an original sculpt, and I think that something that's just a more or less a copy of something that's come up before, even if it's a different scale. No, it would have been number four. So I'm going to go with those three. Number one is the Bat Family, to Martian Manhunter, and the Frodo Arwen as number three.
Okay, so at number three.
But actually, Chris, before you reveal it,
I just did.
Okay.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to read out some of the individuals in the chat what their predictions were.
Okay.
Statue Fanatic, thanks for joining. He said the Batman Family, and same with John Band. He said the same thing. And the Spiritual Gaming also thinks the Batman Family is adorable.
Yep.
So that one's getting,
it's getting some love.
Yep. Stacy really likes the Studio Dragon.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So
Storm from Kotobukiya. This is part of their fine art line. So 1/6 scale. It's polystone. I think this is sort of their high-end pieces from the fine art line. Turned out nice. They've been working on an X-Men line for a number of years, and Storm's finally out. She looked good. Next, we had the Royal Selangor Iron Man. So people like the
Oh,
pewter look, the high polished
It's
silver finish.
beautiful. There's no doubt that this is a
Yeah,
beautiful piece. It's
yep.
very impressive. It's eye catchy. Um,
yeah,
but it's not an original design. Like this was in the running 2 years ago. Anyway,
yeah. I got you. It's fine. And first place, whoop, we have
yeah,
the People's Choice. They were all
yeah.
right. The Bat
Oh,
Family from Quantum Mechanics, and again, newer company, and they've got another one like this coming out in 2020. It's sort of the all of the kids kind of jumping around in a city type scene. So again, so let's see if they can follow it up in 2020. This one looked like it turned out really, really well from all the videos and photos that I've seen. I haven't seen it in person, but looks really, really good. So good on Quantum Mechanics. We got some new blood in the comic book category,
Yeah.
and good for them. So we're going to move on. We're going to skip over large because that's sort of the one that people get most excited about in this genre. And we're going to go straight to extra large and then we'll do large
Hey,
last. So,
before you start that, I just realized I
okay.
actually have something from quantum mechanics. This was a few years ago. Just came out
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
the Batarang, and it was like $50. It was like worth nothing, and it's actually metal.
Yeah, nice. I,
And
I,
I don't know how many they made.
I have one of their Q figs. I've got the Netflix Daredevil Q fig, and it's about this big, and it's nice. I mean, but I haven't seen their larger stuff in person. But people love it, obviously. Okay, so we'll remind people extra large. This is over 1/4 scale. So the over 1/4 scale or exceptionally big. Like some of the Transformers are technically small scale, but we can't put them there. So they go here. Okay, so there's a little bit of gray area, but here we go. We had Optimus Prime from XM Studios, the Hush Superman from Prime 1 Studios, Judge Dredd from PCS Collectibles, the Yoda Legendary Scale figure from Sideshow, Treebeard from Weta. Really, really cool statue from them. They've been rocking that Lord of the Rings and Hobbit line for years, and each piece looks better than the last. We have the dog Alien. Now, this was a collaboration between Cool Props and Prime One, and then we got Shockwave from Prime One Studio there, continuing their Transformer line. And on the end, we have from Elite Creature Collectibles the Mohawk maquette from Gremlins 2. So, Gina, do you want me to leave this up? We'll start with you.
yes, yes.
Okay, predictions.
I think number one is Yoda. I think people.
Yoda?
I mean, I've seen the photos. I've seen your photos, Chris. It just looks stunning. And often there's from the community there could be a backlash with these extra large statues if there's any minor issues, just because the cost is so exorbitant with
Mm-hmm.
these pieces. Any minor issues, people would, the community and the collectors would definitely highlight those issues. With this Yoda, I haven't read or seen any major issues. People just love the statue, and just the videos I've seen and the photos I've seen, it does look beautiful. I'm really loving that Judge Dredd as well. I think it's pretty cool.
Yes.
There's just so many good
Good choice.
selections.
Good choice. I've got that piece. I love it. I love that one.
There's just so many good choices in that. Um, I I I want to put the Superman Hush. I thought
Okay.
is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I don't particularly care to have a Superman in my collection, but if I did, I would want that Hush. I know there's been issues with the cape and the sculpted cape, and I do actually prefer the sculpted cape, but
Mm-hmm.
despite these some of the weight issues, I want to put that in my top three as well.
But you didn't
But
see how I posed the cape, the fabric cape. That that
I
might that
I
might have converted you.
I did some of the photos, and I saw some people's comments about how much they really enjoyed how you posed the cape. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That might be like number four. Maybe
Okay.
number three is the dog alien.
Yeah.
I
Very
think that
cool. Very
that's
cool.
just in terms of getting votes. So it's not a piece that I would get, but we're talking about what would
Yeah.
most likely win. And people just have this. or collectors just have this deep connection to the AOE universe. I think that will get a lot of people understand that those pieces could be. This might be controversial to say, but some of the alien pieces can be a bit more challenging to do just because of the paint and the gloss.
Well, and
So when
they have that the clear dome. Like
yeah,
there's
the
some
dome
there's some
thing, yeah.
interesting things that are
So
difficult things.
to do that clear dome and then and to get the gloss right, and if it's not done right, then people complain, and rightfully so. So
Yep.
when they do get it right, people are just like, oh shit.
Yep.
So that would be my choice as well. So
Okay.
dog. So I think dog alien, the Hush Batman maybe number 4, but Yoda number 1 for sure.
Yoda number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. Charles.
Okay, once again, I have very similar choices as Gina.
Okay.
My number one is actually Superman Hush.
Okay.
I think that that was the statue I saw most talked about this year, and it was largely positive. I think sculpted capes just irritate some people, and there's nothing you can do about it. People don't want to work. They want to take the statue out of the box, bang, bang, and they're done. I
Yep.
know, speaking for myself, whenever I see open up a box and it's like 50 pieces, I'm not happy, or when I got to sculpt that thing to try to make it look like the picture. Anyway, that
Yep.
aside, I think Superman Hush largely, once people were done with sculpting, or if they were happier with the sculpted cape, sorry, the fabric
Fabric
cape,
cape. Yeah.
then that was my number one. Number two, I'm putting Alien, the dog Alien. I
Okay.
actually got to see this in person when Prime One had their booth in Montreal. They
Mm-hmm.
actually had a booth and displayed a lot of their third scale pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and this was stunning. I mean, it actually looked kind of real. And you normally when you see a sculpt, there is an element of where it looks cartoony. You can see the paint, but whatever it is, whatever materials they used on the dog alien, it actually looked real. So I have to give number two to that. Number three, I'm going to give it to XM Optimus Prime.
Okay.
I thought that that was very nice looking. Those are my top three choices. I want to make one other point,
Okay.
because it's something we could mention. Huntress was also a beautiful piece, the Prime One Huntress, and I think it would have made my list if, because one of the things you take into consideration when you're choosing best statue is production, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just what you see on the screen or what you see in the preview, it's what you end up getting in your house. And the Prime One Huntress, so many of them shipped with a damaged portrait, and from what I understand, it even shipped incomplete. It was missing one of the crossbows. So it's you lose some points there. You can't help
Yep,
it. It's
you do.
so at the end of the day, my three choices are Hush, Alien, Optimus Prime. That's what I think are gonna.
Yeah, and Charles, that's an excellent point. I kind of mentioned off the top, like once we kind of narrow it down, like I'm looking for photos, I'm looking for videos, anything I can find to see, and make sure that the ones that we have actually came out well. And if a statue could be the best looking statue of the year, but if half or more than half are getting showing up broken, you can't put it on there.
Yeah.
Right.
So production's a huge part of it. So okay, so we're gonna jump into this. We got your picks.
Before
Okay.
you start, Chris, I'll just
Okay.
read what some people predict. So Statue Fanatic predicts he likes Hush, Optimus Prime, and Judge. Power Team likes the Optimus Prime, Treebeard, and Shockwave. So John Ben also agrees. He's going with the Hush Superman.
Okay.
So a lot of people really like the Hush Superman. So
Okay. Well, we'll
yeah,
see. We'll see if they're right.
yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna start off. Number 3,
Number
we
three.
got
There you go.
Yoda,
Yo,
the
number 3.
legendary scale figure Yoda. I did get a chance to see this one. It's my friend Marco's statue. Really, really turned out nice.
Does he
Um,
buy every Star Wars piece? I mean,
he buys a lot of Star Wars. Yeah. I think the one thing for this piece, I mean, it's excellent. The mixed media is great. I think it's probably for my money, it's the best Yoda collectible out there. The one thing that could have bumped it a little bit is the eyes. They painted the eyes, and I think if they would have had some glass eyes in there,
Yeah.
it could have just given it that boost that it needed. But still looks pretty good. Okay,
More
number two.
companies should do that. More companies
I
should have the glass eyes thing.
I think
Sorry,
so
go ahead.
too. I think so too. So second place, this was very tight. You can see the numbers there, 14.1 and 14.3, like very tight between these two. Optimus Prime from XM Studios. I did have a friend who got this one. I got a chance to look at it. I think it's one of XM's better pieces ever. Really, it's
That
really
has light up
complex.
features.
Has light up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lights up. It's got a whole bunch of parts that light up. It's got different poses, different options. It's huge. The box is 110 pounds. It
Yeah.
got shipped to me on a pallet, right?
What?
So I had to receive it for a friend of mine, and it showed up
Right.
at my office on a pallet.
Wow.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Before you go to number one, don't do that.
Okay. Okay.
Um, when I received the XM Predator, I
Yeah.
went to UPS to go pick it up because it would have been the same thing, and I wanted to limit, the handling of this thing, and that was another massive 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet size box.
So
Crazy
how do you guys get those
in the house.
large or just even in your car? I mean, do you have
Well,
to,
I have a family
Hatchback.
van,
Hatchback. Yeah.
but in terms of bringing it in the house, forget it. Cecilia had to help me.
yeah, two
Yeah.
people?
I had to
So
borrow my our administrative assistant at the front desk to help
How
me
do you
lift it in there.
yeah,
They think I'm so because I have most of my stuff shipped to work so that I'm there to get it. And they think I'm just crazy with these boxes that show up. So
and
okay,
these
so we're gonna.
boxes keep getting bigger. It's crazy.
Oh, I know, I know. Okay, so we're gonna move on. The winner,
Number one.
best extra large statue from 2019. A lot of people
Yeah,
predicted it in the comments.
yeah.
Superman Hush.
Yay.
Again,
There you
two
go.
different versions. This is the fabric cape version. This is one of my photos of my friend Adam's piece. Got a chance to review his, and this was the one when I was predicting before everything started. This is the one I thought too. So it's just for a
Congrats.
lot of people,
Congrats,
this is
Prime.
the Superman they've been looking for.
I would agree. And
You know,
as yeah, I mean, as a non-Superman fan, like I'm not a huge. I mean, this piece it drew me in, and I think that says a lot about the statue when you're not a fan of the character, and you could just be drawn into the artistic
yeah,
merits of the statue.
yeah. It's
Um,
it's it's maybe not the most complex one there, but again, if that Superman's a tough character, even though he's fairly simple, right? You got to get that face right, and a lot of
Yeah.
people have different ideas of what they want him to look like, and to have so many people look at this and think this is the Superman for me, I think that's a win, right? So I think it's well deserved.
in that storyline, he was somber, right? He was taken over,
Hmm.
seduced by Poison Ivy, made to do her bidding, and he just kind of looked like that. By the
Yeah,
way, I'm curious, how far down the list was Dog Alien? Did it make number
Yeah,
four,
I'm
five?
surprised it didn't
oh,
make it.
I'd have to check back. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
It got some love. It was up there. I
Okay.
just don't remember exactly which spot.
I am a bit surprised that Superman made number one, not because it's not a beautiful statue, just because of some of the issues with the cape and people and some of the concerns about the sculpted cape. And oh, is it going
But
to
has
tip
Superman
over?
had? I mean, Batman had problems.
Batman had problems. No, so I'm
Sup-
not saying that Superman they had to do a recall or anything like that. I'm not saying, but people have been concerned about that sculpted cape.
Hmm.
So I thought that would prevent it from not being number one. But
Another interesting
yeah,
about Hush is it's the Superman Hush. Like which one is the one that has more limited display options? Is it the sculpt or it's the sculpt one, right? The sculpt one
you can't turn it out around all
you
the
can't
way.
turn
Yeah,
it around, but the other one could be displayed different ways. Um, I'm going to wear my glasses to see this. I see a statue fanatic is kind of already talking about what he thinks is going to win next year, which is the Batman Who Laughs.
yeah, that one
yeah,
looks
Um,
cool. That one looks really cool.
yeah.
It could be there. I think it just came out too. So I think um, it's hard to track these days when things come out because they seem to ship to different
Different
parts of the world
countries.
at
Yeah.
different times. I think some collectors in China have received
Yeah.
it, and it looks good.
So
So
I
we'll
mean,
see.
Prime One's known for being pretty close to their prototype. So
Yeah,
if obviously if that does deliver very close to prototype, I would agree
yeah.
yeah.
that that might be
I,
statue of the year.
I
Okay.
actually have my first Prime one on order. because
Poison ivy
third
is going to be,
scale
yeah,
poison ivy
that's
because
going to be
third
another one to keep
scale
an eye out
is
Are
for
you
for
worried?
sure.
Are you
big.
worried about the shipping costs, Charles? Because
Uh,
that's the only
I
thing that's kept me from ordering. I want to order the Red Sonia,
uh,
but
Do it.
to
That's
get
amazing.
but to get an $800 shipping
Is it
bill.
800
I'm
No,
bucks?
not
no,
getting
no.
it
I'm
from
guessing.
them.
Oh,
I'm getting
I'm
it from
just
Sideshow. Yeah.
okay.
Adam's watching. He'll know. He looked it up, so he can tell us in
Okay.
the comments here how much shipping is, at least to
I'm just
Western
thinking
Canada.
I'm being overly excessive, but
But you might be able to get it. There's other places to get it. There's some official distributors now. I
oh,
think
okay.
Spec Fiction or what's the other one? It also starts with an S. I think Secret Compass. I think
Right.
they both sell. Um,
But, yeah,
so
but would they sell the deluxe version? That's what I'm
oh,
wondering.
I don't know. You have to look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, what's
Okay, so
interesting is that just before we go on to the next
okay,
thing,
okay.
you were able to get the exclusives from Sideshow. That seems to be something you can't do anymore. I think Poison Ivy may have been the last one that you were able to order that way.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't think you can order from. I believe that you cannot order Prime One from Sideshow anymore at all, right?
Not now. With the
Yeah,
way
now
it
you
works,
can. Yeah.
when I spoke with the Sideshow, what was happening is that a lot of people were canceling their orders once they saw what shipping was costing, and I think Sideshow was getting fed up because when people were reporting damaged pieces, they couldn't replace it, and it was like a headache, right?
Yeah.
Like who would want to deal with that? Like, there's a lot of customer service hours spent on, I'm sorry, we can't get you anything. So I think
Yeah, and
it's
that just and that'll turn people off a Sideshow, not Prime One, right? So,
right, right.
yeah, I get it. I get it.
So where's the
Um,
win, right?
so Adam says 690 US dollars from Prime One.
So I'm right.
So
It's
you're
close
right.
to
It would be 800 plus,
$800.
800
Yeah.
plus for in
Yeah.
Canadian dollars. So okay, we're gonna move on. Best large statue in the comic, movie, and original category. This is sort of we'll call it the premier category in this genre for sure. This 1/4 scale. This is what a lot of people get excited for and collect. So let's go through the nominees here for best large statue in the comic genre. So we'll just zip through the nominees.
Whew.
So we
Look at
got
this lineup.
the astronaut from Blitzway, which just snuck in under the wire right before the cutoff, right at the end of the year. Uh, Something totally unique. Really, really cool looking piece. Rogue from Sideshow Collectibles, Rogue Maquette. I think that's one of our favorites, Gina, you and me.
Yeah.
Charles, I think, is a big fan of that one too. We had Scorpion Alien from Prime One Studios. This is the smaller, one. I'm doing air quotes now. Smaller alien from Prime One. Spider-Man from XM Studios. We have the Thor, Daniel Bell's Thor from Sideshow as well. Dark Phoenix from XM Studios, and that's look at that amazing photo of the Dark Phoenix.
Ah, it's
Uh,
so true.
yeah. That's by Charles, and I got to point out the Spider-Man is my friend Marco's photo. Um, so a couple in-hand pics there. We got the from Infinity Studio, the Great White Shark, which was just so unique again, and they pulled it off really well. I've seen some of the video review. You can stick your fist right into its mouth. Like that's how big this thing is, a 1/4 scale great white shark. And then the Punisher from Iron Studios on the end. They did some interesting things, risky things, making the hands out of rubber, and then that kind of rubbed some people the wrong way, but it worked out really, really well with what they were trying to achieve. So, the Punisher. So, Gina, do you want me to leave this up for you?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
I oh, so what I guess I'm kind of biased because what I think is going to win is also what I'm hoping to win, and it shouldn't be that way.
Okay.
um, but I mean, I think the Rogue. I think it just had such a huge hill to climb in terms of um, that type of design and that type of engineering, and I think they just pulled it off.
Hmm.
I think the company just pulled it off completely. So I'm gonna put my money on that one. I think it might get the
Okay.
most votes. Um, the Blitzway astronaut. I think it's one of those things that is like unique, accurate to like historically accurate.
Hmm.
And I think people could just appreciate the authentic components of that statue. Um, Now Now my third choice, third and fourth are kind of tied. I mean, I know I can't do that, but I think the Phoenix, the Dark Phoenix,
No, pick one.
and
Pick one. There can
and
only be one.
Thor. The Thor came out so good.
Yeah.
The Dark Phoenix too. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go with the Dark Phoenix.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, people have been hammering for a quarter scale Dark Phoenix, a really good one. I think they, and to incorporate, to be able to get the bird, and the figure and engineering to do that well, it was definitely a challenge, and they pulled it off. So those are my choices.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Charles.
This was a tough category, you
Very,
know,
very.
because this is my preferred scale, right? I think I can speak for all of us. It's our
For all,
preferred
yeah,
scale.
three of us, yeah, and I think a lot of people that are voting in this is what they collect, right? So
Right.
that's why we left it for the last in this category.
And there are so many different ones we could have chosen. You know, like for example, just I will answer, but just a couple that didn't make it. I thought the XM White Magneto was astounding looking piece.
Mm-hmm.
The Darth Maul also was pretty good, although it had some issues production wise with the cape,
Yeah.
the rear cape. But going into my top three, I'm going to start with number three.
Okay.
Number three was the Punisher, the
Okay.
Iron Studios Punisher. That one was really well received.
It's really
Um,
good. I have it. I love that piece. Love it.
you know, that one I'm going to give number three, although I wouldn't be surprised if it gets number one because that one was just, I didn't hear, I mean, there's always one or two that are going to say, whatever.
Yeah.
But largely, this was just loved by whoever bought it, you know?
Yeah.
Number two, this was really tough. I'm going to go number two, Rogue, and I'm going to
Okay.
explain why it didn't get number one. Number two, Rogue. The portraits on Rogue are astounding. Number one for portraits. But I'm not crazy about, you know, the pose of it and what it's connected to. I think I would have gone a different way with that. But overall, it's a beautiful, stunning piece. I think everyone who has it is very pleased. The body is perfect, right? Like the
Yep.
body type that they used for her. I have like, I can't say anything against it. But number one, overall, you know, because you can appreciate it from so many different angles. And Phoenix, Martin Augusta did an amazing job on Dark Phoenix. That gets
Yeah.
my number one vote. And I'll say this is bias. You know, it was my favorite piece of the year. It technically should win on all the merits that I just discussed here, but
That's
I think
okay.
it's
That's
going to
okay.
be, you know, it can go
Um,
either way with Rogue.
yeah, and you've been saying Dark Phoenix all year long. I know.
Yep.
I've seen it. So you haven't wavered, and that's good. So I just want to point out. I'm looking at some of the comments popping up here. People say, "Well, why wasn't this there? Why isn't this there?"
Which
Um,
one are they asking about?
there's been a few X-23, Green Arrow, Cable, mostly sideshow stuff. And I'll say we do limit for each category. I put a maximum of two per company. Okay, and there's a reason for that. We want to try and give companies like we'll talk about sideshow specifically for this one. They had an amazing year, amazing year. I mean, Juggernaut was another one that could have went on there easily.
Right.
Um, absolutely excellent year. Green Arrow was amazing. I saw it. But if we start putting like three, four, five from one company, it's not representative of the hobby. There's a lot out there that's really good, and it actually hurts their chances to win.
Absolutely.
Sideshow, right? So we try to pick the two best to give them, okay, they had a really great year and there was a lot there, so we give them two and still give them a good chance in the final
And they were in
vote,
the
right?
running. It's not like they weren't in the running. They were all
Oh,
those
no. I mean,
statues were in the running. You know.
that was the toughest one. Those two, I think we came up with two pretty good ones. I mean, Daniel Bell's Thor is really well liked. People love that one, and Rogue. I've got it here over my shoulder. I have it, love it. And we could have scrapped those two and picked any other two. They had a really good year. So that said, we'll get into the top three here.
Yeah.
Okay, so at number three.
Actually, sorry, Chris, before you start,
Oh, too late.
You're so
Too
funny.
late.
You go,
You
go,
got to
go,
be quicker, Gina.
go, 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 go.
Spider-Man number 3. So what are you going to say? What are you going to say?
Oh no, I was just gonna read what some people were like actually
Okay.
predicting.
Okay, go ahead.
Archangel was also saying that the Green Arrow was also incredible.
It
Um,
was. It
and
was.
and Adam made a very good point. He said that that the astronaut was really cool, but he just couldn't imagine it in his room. And then Archangel was mentioning some of the issues, like the delay that came with the astronaut, which is a very good point. So maybe it doesn't deserve. And then John Ban, his choice were
Well,
the Dark Phoenix, Rogue.
I'll
Um,
disagree with that. If it's
okay.
delayed, I mean, so what? Every
No,
statue's
but there was
delayed.
also QC issues with it even when it did get shipped out. So
I saw one guy had a couple pieces broken. I saw
yeah,
a handful of others that didn't. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Um,
we don't know.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I think the
yeah,
Green Arrow, it comes down to, do a lot of people like this character?
that's
Nice
part of
sculpt
it.
is great, but people loving the character also plays a role in terms of numbers. So you might get some people saying, "Hey, that's a great statue," but did they
How
buy
many
it?
people bought it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and speaking of that, I mean, that might have boosted Spider-Man's numbers a little bit, right? Spider-Man, hugely popular character. So XM Studios picks up the third place with
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Anything else? Okay, before I move on, anything else?
no, no.
Okay, we're good.
Yep.
Okay, number 2. We got from Sideshow, Thor.
Thor. Very
Thor got number
interesting.
2. A lot of people really like
Okay.
this one, but
Yeah.
I was a little surprised it got so many votes because you can still buy it. It's still
Yep.
exclusive, still in stock.
Yep.
So how come it's not sold out? But I've seen it, I think, 3 times at conventions, and every time I stopped and looked at it, every single time, it really
Right.
captures your
Yeah.
view, and it's really good. Daniel Bell did an amazing job, and with him, I mean, we could have picked his Gladiator Hulk, let's say, another excellent piece from Daniel. But I think for me, why this one came in instead of Gladiator Hulk, for me, this is the best Thor that Sideshow's ever done. The Gladiator Hulk it's a toss up, between that one and the previous one.
Yeah.
So that's part of it for me, anyways, with this particular piece. Okay, so first and second, or sorry, second and third out of the way.
Okay.
We'll go with number 1.
Whoa!
Wow.
Wow!
Charles, you got it from XM Studios.
Congratulations!
Dark
Congrats.
Phoenix is the winner,
Wow!
and I'll admit, I mean, you can see when in my little window I've got it over my shoulder. I love the statue,
One out of
um,
five. A little
but I
bit
was a
more
little
than one out of
surprised. Didn't
five.
this statue just didn't have um, the buzz around it? I guess
It did
all
at
year long.
first,
I guess
but
it
then
did. Maybe it just came out so long ago. It
one
the
of the
buzz.
things I'm sure you guys have noticed is that once something comes out, there's like buzz for a week, but then something else comes out like three
Yeah.
days later, and then there's overstimulation with new products, so it's hard to be excited about something long term when new stuff keeps on coming out,
Yeah.
and there's so many reviewers out there, so I'm a little
Yeah.
surprised. I have to say, not so much that Phoenix went first because that was my pick for first, but Rogue. How
Yeah.
did Rogue lose to those two?
I don't know.
That
I don't know. These are the numbers. Rogue finished 4th or 5th, and it was Rogue and Punisher were the 4th and 5th pieces, and I
Oh,
can't remember. Third, 4th, and 5th were like toss up, really, like a handful of votes each way. So it was close, but Rogue was my pick from that category. If I was when I was predicting, um,
so two
I don't know.
XM in the
I don't
top
know.
three.
Yeah, 2 out of 3
Congratulations
for
to
XM.
XM.
That's been a bit of a hiatus for them. They won the first few years in this category, and then took a couple years off, and then now they're back, I guess. So
Oh.
fans back on appreciating the XM stuff.
Martin, if you're watching, congratulations on this absolutely amazing piece. Well deserved honor.
Yeah. So all right. So we'll move on to favorite company. Favorite company, and this was really open to anything. We don't put out a list of nominations, but I just put out a list of as many companies as I can think of, and people can vote for whatever. And I should say, in every category, there is an other option. Every single one. So if you think I'm out to lunch, then you can pick whatever you want. So some of the ones that people are mentioning did get a few votes, but you know, it is what it is. So best favorite company. And we call it favorite because it's really hard to call one best without having a bunch of data like number of breakages and replacements and who's doing the best QC and whatever. We don't have that kind of information, so it's really down to what people collect and what they're passionate about. And predictions. Gina, what do you think? Just one.
Um,
Just give me one. What do you think?
Sideshow. The I would say sideshow. The fact that they had a number, a really good run this year of like successful statues.
Hmm.
So I would probably give it to them. Although in my heart, I would also like to vote for like Tweeterhead. I think they're
Yeah.
changing the game. I think they're changing the game when it comes to six scale. I
Hmm.
really do. With the amount of detail and the paint on those statues, it's just incredible. I
Hmm.
would like to see Tweeterhead win, but I would say Sideshow this year. I mean, they had just had a very very long run, as you were saying too, and Juggernaut and obviously the Thor was made it to number two. Was it Thor? They just even the Gladiator Hulk was pretty well received. I mean, it's just statue after statue this year. I mean, I would say Sideshow might get the most votes, but in my heart, I would like to see Tweeterhead get acknowledged.
Okay. Charles, what do you think?
This is a very tough. Uh, it's very tough. So I'm
It
going to
is.
qualify what it is how I'm going to answer. I completely agree with Gina that Sideshow upped their game, but I think they had no choice but to up their game because when they were the only game in town for a while, they were able to coast, but now they have no choice but to up their game. And I don't know if I want to reward a client for finding a way to survive. Even though they were releasing some great stuff. XM is another great choice, but they went through like months without releasing anything, right?
They did. There
Right?
was a I tracking the list. I mean, they had a few pop out right towards the end of the year, but they had like three releases for like months and months and months, and it was like,
Right,
wow, like
right. So that kind of takes something away from the luster of XM winning as Company of the Year, even though Phoenix was Statue of the Year in that category.
yeah.
So I think I'm going to go a little to the left this year and go with Figurama, and I'm going to explain that. That's
Hmm.
the company who released Vash, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I'm going to go with them this year because I think they're testing new boundaries. They're managing to get people to be interested or at least take a look at stuff they never even looked at before. Like, hey, what's this company? What this looks really nice. It's really creative. Maybe I should take a
Hmm.
look. And I think a company gets extra points for that. It's great that everybody wants to do Batman and they do Batman well, but to do something that's completely out from left field from our perspective, right? Because
Yeah.
I didn't know who Vash was before, but now I'm kind of curious because the sculpts look amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to go with Figurama. I think they managed to make their presence felt in an industry from our perspective that's dominated by Marvel and DC and the movie industry. So
Right.
I'm gonna give a special nod to Figurama for making their presence felt.
Okay. So let's get into it here. Number three, we had XM Studios. Third place for them. So maybe I don't want to call it a comeback, I guess, but resurgence maybe because they had kind of slipped a little bit in the previous couple years after being really strong the first few years.
Well, I think if
Uh,
they released more stuff this year, like if there was
yeah,
like more, because now it looks like they're back to releasing something every month or every six
Yeah.
weeks or so.
Well,
And I
someone
think,
mentioned
you know,
in the comments that maybe perhaps Mystique kind of hurt them a bit.
yeah, it
You know,
did. They took a bit of a beating with that one.
yeah, with that one, unfortunately,
yeah.
some things I guess just slipped through the cracks with
The
that
thing
one.
the thing with that one, I mean, the statue is very nice.
Mhm.
It was way too big, and
Yeah,
people
it's a
just
shame.
it played with people's OCD a little too much, including my own. I had that piece for a short period of time.
And XM is also a victim of the whole rising costs industry. Like shipping is going up, costs of
Yeah,
statues are going up, and what it means for XM is that some of their numbers have been going down. It's not saying the quality is going down, but the statue cost inflation rate is nowhere near realistic inflation rate, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah.
the higher the cost for their statues, the harder it is to buy them. And I don't know how
Just
they're going to fix this.
going back to what you were saying earlier, Charles. Statue Fanatic agrees with you about Figurama, and Joe Miller agrees with you about Figurama as well. That's his vote as well.
Okay.
So yeah, they're getting a lot of votes as well, Figurama.
Okay. So moving on. So XM number 3, good showing for them this year with placing in a few categories, winning the large category, and third place in a large category, and then again third place here. So good job, XM. Great year for them. Number 2, Sume Art. We can't forget about them. They got second
Mhm.
place in both the anime categories, and they got second place again here. Uh, huge fan base for this company. They put out so much really really cool stuff every
Um,
year.
yeah,
Um,
amazing stuff. Like
and
do they produce anything substandard? I mean, everything makes you take a second look.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Another thing I want to point out with Sume is if you don't follow them, you might want to give them a follow because they're really fun. Like they produce they have like their own show like that they do a reveal for with every statue. They get a round table with all the people involved and do really high quality productions that way. They opened up a store in Paris, a Sume store this year. That was a
Really
big deal for them, and I think they
cool.
even made it over to North America for it was what's the gaming convention? E3. E3, and they debuted their Gears of War statue there. I think that's the first time they've been over to North America. So
Wow.
they're pushing things. They're doing some different stuff. So good for Sume, second place. But it's time we'll reveal the winner. Favorite company 2019, Figurama Collectors.
Ah,
So
Ah,
you got it right, Charles. A lot of people in the comments got it right. Figurama, and really, you can see the percentage there, 51%. So
there you go.
they really engage their fans. And some people, I'll quickly say, some people will see a percentage like that, a lopsided win, and try to spin it as a negative. If you think Figurama didn't deserve it, I mean, I'm not going to tell you go out and buy their stuff. It's expensive. If you don't collect it, you don't collect it. But just join their Facebook group. See what they do on a daily basis. There's every single day they have a new question, a new poll, a new contest, some kind of new reveals. Every single day they have this, and they're getting people excited. They're getting people engaged, and then their products are living up to that as well. I've had the chance to see almost all of them, all the releases anyways so far, and they all turn out really really well. They're really putting in the
Yeah.
extra miles. So I think in a couple years, I mean, short period of time, they've really built up a strong community. So good for Figurama. Three
Yeah.
awards this year. Swept the anime category and picked up favorite company 2019. So good for them.
Just as another thing to add, when we've interviewed sculptors on the show, those who have worked with Figurama have nothing but amazing things to say about working with that company too.
Yeah,
So, all this adds up. They're doing something right. And if, like I said earlier, we don't buy this stuff, at least I don't think so. So for us to take note, they must really be doing something right.
exactly. Exactly. They're making a name for themselves. They're getting people excited. And they're going to be a major player again in 2020. They got their Alucard coming out, which is an incredibly complex statue. I got to help put it together at Wonder Festival last summer, and let me tell you, it's a monster, an absolute monster. And they got the Attack on
Wow.
Titan. I mean, Attack on Titan. If for people that don't follow that, and there's theme parks in Japan. I mean, it's an incredibly popular series, and the statue that's done by Caleb
Right.
Nefson, amazing piece.
The
They're
attack
gonna
on
be
Titan.
they're gonna be tough to beat again in 2020. So
So
good
why
job
doesn't
for
he?
them.
Why don't they? Come to New York? We can cover them or something. Like, why don't
Uh,
they?
I don't know. I mean, that could be a question for Mr. Shinob, who might be appearing on the show in the near future. So
Well, after
we'll
today, I think he'll
yeah,
probably want to come. Going like,
yeah.
hey, who are these
So
guys saying nice things about
keep
me?
that, jot that one down. We'll make some suggestions. Come to I have told them if they're gonna come, New York's the one to go to. I think that is a little bit more of an anime presence there than at San Diego,
Or a
at least
good
in my
mix,
experience.
anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move on to a brand new award for 2019. We started this one this year. It's called the Industry Award. And what this means is what I've done is I've gone around and polled people in the industry, sculptors, painters, concept designers, and just industry professionals, people just that work for various companies.
Company owners.
Yeah, company owners. What is your choice for best statue of 2019? And they could pick anything at all. This includes busts. This includes small, large, medium, anime, comics, whatever. Just one statue. So I'll explain how I set this up a little bit. So I was thinking to myself, doing it, how do I prevent people from just picking their own piece, right? And ended up with no clear winner. So what I did is I asked everyone to pick two. Everyone picked two pieces, and at least one of them has to be something that you had nothing to do with, right? So we're trying to get an unbiased choice. What do you think's the best? Okay, so first of all, I'll show a list of names. So I gave them all a form with pictures, and they basically had all the nominees that we saw and discussed today ahead of time. This was all done and wrapped up pretty much before the fan vote started. Okay, so it's completely.
So they had the 500 choice list?
No, they had the narrowed down one.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I gave them the narrowed down one, and I added some extras there too, because I wanted their input to my final few choices for nominations. I wanted to kind of secretly get their input and see what round out the nominee selection. So they had a list, but they also had the other option. They could pick whatever they wanted. Just had to come out in 2019 and anything they want. And a few people used it, a few people didn't. I also gave them the option on there to tell me whether I could reveal their name. I'm not going to reveal what anybody voted for. I never reveal what anybody votes for, even in the fan vote. I don't want to get anybody in trouble for that. But some people said no. I want to stay, in the shadows
Anonymous,
and
right?
the anonymous voters. But most people were okay with it. So I'll give you the list here real quick. Let me find here. So this is a partial list. This is some of the people who took part this year. We had 32 people this year in total. So I'll just start listing off the names. And before I do, apologies if I say any of these names incorrectly. I'm terrible at it. Okay, so I'll give it my best shot. Okay, we had David Giraud. Mentioned him earlier. He did Vash the Stampede. He's worked for Figurama, DC Collectibles, XM, a number of companies. So Ariel Anandito, who's designed a lot of statues for XM. He's also an artist for Marvel Comics. So his opinion means a lot to me. We had Mufas Al-Mukhtar from HMO. He's also worked for Royal Selangor. Tiago Rios, done some work. He did The Punisher. He did the Iron Studios Daredevil. He worked for XM as well. Marco Plouffe, Alvaro Ribeiro. These are people who've been on the show. Ed Bradley, painter. He does some really amazing work for a bunch of companies and has done some really great work for Sideshow in the last few years too. We had Can Supaban Pot from Studio Hive, who does a lot of statue designs. And I think they're starting to maybe make some of their own statues in the near future as well. Will Harbottle and Kat Sapine from Sideshow Collectibles.
Married couple, I think, right?
They are married. Major power couple. Do some of the absolute best work in the industry. So I was really happy to have them involved. Brian Tan, everyone knows Brian Tan from XM Studios. We have Joe Mena, been around a long time. Great sculptor, has done work for a number of different companies. And I think he's also works for the Royal, or not the Royal Mint, the U.S. Mint, like helping design the designs for coins and stuff. So that's kind of a neat job for him as well. We had Mr. Shanab from Figurama, Renan Pizzi from Iron Studios, P.A. L'Esperance from House of Gog, Arnaud Perez with Pure Arts, Ciro Martial from Sume Art, Victor Hugo Sousa and other sculptors been on the show. We had Adib from Kinetiquettes, Romel Chopra. He sculptor. He did the Predator, the new Predator from Prime One Studio.
Wow.
He did the Lobo for Prime One Studio. He did the Brown
Oh, that's
Wolverine
another
for
amazing one.
XM Studio. Excellent sculptor, so it's happy to have him. Brian Kucharik. A lot of people have seen his work over the years. Hulkbuster for XM stands out, and a
So
number.
much for
He's got
Bowen too.
so much for Bowen. I mean, amazing,
Mm.
amazing artist. Mark Newman. A lot of people recognize his work. He did the new Jean Grey, does a really amazing female sculpts, but all kinds of
Sure.
stuff. He's behind a lot of the Court of the Dead stuff for Sideshow. Marcella Basoli's from Iron Studios, and we had Safara Jaffney from HMO. She's done a lot of statue design work, also for XM. Helped design.
Oh, right. She does the prints, I think.
She does some of the prints, and she
Right.
did Spider Gwen. She's heavily
Right.
involved with
Right.
the design of the Samurai line,
We met
Batman
her,
Samurai.
right?
Yeah, we met her
In
in Singapore.
Singapore.
Um, what's Poison Ivy? The Samurai Poison Ivy. She's heavily involved there,
Wow.
and she's heavily involved with HMO, helping Mufasal as well. And there was more, as I said, there's more than this, but we agreed to leave their names anonymous. But so we had a pretty good list, and there's more people that, as I was doing this, that I
Left
kept thinking
unnamed.
more and more and more people that I want to get involved, and hopefully next year all those names will be back, and we'll be able to expand even more. So we had 32 this year, and I think really good representative panel. Okay,
Okay.
so they got to choose whatever they want, and we'll just get right into it. Unless you guys want to make a prediction, do you want to? You kind of already
I'm
done
gonna
it.
predict Rogue.
Rogue. Okay.
I think that they're gonna go with that one.
Okay. Gina.
Uh, it's such a, it was such a great year. I mean, I guess I would go to Rogue as well. He's
Okay.
my favorite. I thought, yeah.
Okay. But right before I reveal, I want to say so we had 32 judges, and they picked 27 different statues got at least one vote.
Jesus.
Okay. So at first I was surprised by that, but then I thought, no, that's pretty representative where we're at. We had a whole bunch of companies that got, put out really good stuff. I think people at times feel a little bit overloaded with how much good stuff there is. So I think that was kind of representative of the hobby right now.
Just a quick question. Were the choices largely quarter scale? Like, were you able
Uh,
to differentiate? Like,
yeah, mostly the bigger stuff. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Um,
what I
so
figured.
some medium and quarter scale stuff. Um, of those 27, we had 15 that got at least two votes. So everyone that had multiple votes. And there was a clear winner, but after that, it was pretty tight. So we'll give the top three again, but really everything that got a vote or everything on the list was pretty closely matched. So we'll go with number three, and it is The Encounter from Infinity Studio.
Mm.
So interesting piece. This is one of the original IP pieces. Something totally different, and yeah, I think the artists appreciate that. So
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
it's like guitarists picking out Alan Holsworth. Okay, that's an inside joke between me and myself.
okay, so it looks like a very nice piece for me.
I
So
think
third
people
place.
are appreciating the artistic design behind all of this, going like, "Oh, how did they do that? It looks really clever and
Yeah,
original design, not really copying anything." And okay, and it also tells a story, right?
yeah,
Yeah, so
very cool. So number two, we got the Thanos life-size bust from Queen Studio. So again, this one, if people are tuning in late, we did the best bust. This one, best bust, right off the top of the show, and our
last but
panel
not least,
appreciated this one as well. Very cool looking piece. Looks very movie accurate, and I've more and more pictures popping up. Looks really cool. Um, so there you go, Queen Studios and Infinity Studio, a couple of companies out of China, doing some great things,
before you
getting
go to number
noticed.
one, I'm just
Okay,
let's take a look at what people think are.
okay.
I'm not able
I
to
think
read it as
one
well.
person said that I think statue fanatic said that Vash. He thinks that Vash would take that one too.
That's
Think
a
so.
Um,
decent
Okay.
pick.
yeah,
It's a good pick.
yeah. And then people are just sort of giving their thumbs up to the people that you have on the list, Chris. Um,
Good
some of
Okay.
stuff.
the artists, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, excellent panel. And as I said, I was really blown away by how enthusiastic they all were. Even the people that didn't want their names revealed were all very excited, like very thankful to that I contacted them. And some of these people we know, some of these people are friends of mine, good friends of mine. So I don't want to say I expected them to take part, but I thought a pretty good chance. And then we sort of moved down to people who've been on the show that we kind of loosely know and have met along the way, and then there's people that have no idea who I am, and even they were really excited to take part. I thought it was a really really neat idea, so they were happy. So let's get into it.
Number one
Number one, from the industry award, inaugural industry award,
goes
it is
to
Thor.
Daniel
Wow.
Bell.
Daniel Bell's Thor from Sideshow Collectibles.
Very
Breaker of Brimstone.
interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so there you go. First place. And it was the clear winner, as I said. It had the most votes by a fair margin, and the rest of them were really tight. So all the statues that mentioned did really well and deserve credit. But there can only be one winner, and this year it goes to Thor.
So
So
when we see an award like this, do you kind of also see it as the winner is Daniel Bell? You know what I mean by that? Like the industry award, they're kind of giving it to the sculptor.
it could be. It could be one way that they're looking at it. But one thing that's nice with Sideshow, I will will say this is on their site they list everybody. They list the guys who do the mold and cast. They list the painters, the mixed media artists, the sculptors, the concept designers, everybody. So it's
You're right.
really they might be giving it to Daniel, but it's really a team effort, I think. And Daniel did an amazing job. He's really helped. He's been one of the what's helped Sideshow kind of revitalize themselves in a way. Not that they've
Yeah.
ever been real bad, but his work is really
Well, it's
exceptional.
interesting, right? Because I think I might be overstepping by saying this, but I think Sideshow is starting to give exclusive contracts. You work with us, you only work with us.
Well,
Um,
with
I
Daniel, I
think,
think is in that
yeah,
category. I think Will Harbottle's in that category.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, so they are. They're locking up the some talent, and good
good
for them
stuff.
because it's working out for them. They've got some amazing. I mean, we're talking Will Harbottle and Daniel Bell. I mean, how many pieces have we mentioned today by those two guys, right? Um,
I'm a little surprised that Rogue didn't make this category either. Right? That's two categories. I thought it would ace,
she
and
was up there. I mean, she was, as I said, there was a whole cluster, and she was in there. Um, but I thought so too. I'll be honest. I was a little surprised by Thor. Um, just I mean, not that it wasn't well received, not that I didn't like it. I thought it looked amazing. It's just as we mentioned it earlier, it's still in stock. Why haven't people been buying it? Um,
well, it was picked in both
but
categories, right? By the
got
fans and by the industry.
second place,
Sure.
and maybe they just made too many. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
it could just be the ES. So just out of curiosity, were any of the artists voting for their own pieces, which they're totally
totally. Well,
entitled to.
I
So
think
I
we can
so,
think of a few who would probably pick their own pieces.
I was really surprised with how that went. And as I said, I'm not going to reveal who voted for what. Maybe we can talk about it privately after. But some people did, and I value that opinion. I mean, some
me too.
guys. I
Yeah.
mean, like we'll talk. Say Will Harbottle. He had an excellent year. We had Juggernaut, Elektra, Rogue, all came out last year. What's your favorite?
You
If
know,
I'm not saying he did or he didn't vote for his own piece, but just to use him as an example. What's his favorite? I value that, and then tell me what's your favorite of the other ones too. So that's how it was structured, and some people did, some people didn't. Um, they're free to vote for whatever. The only restriction was one of them had to be something they didn't do.
yeah. I've got some people asking or saying that they thought Prime One would be up there for an industry award too. I think Mr. Freeze. Well,
Yeah,
didn't go that way this year.
yeah. And the next year, I'm hoping to get an even bigger panel. I'd like to get it up to maybe 40 or 50 people next year. Hopefully, we can get some more people. As I said, I kept thinking of names, but I just ran out of time. I ran out of time.
No, it's. I think it's a great inaugural award piece to add to the show, and like every year, this show gets more ambitious. And I actually want to take a moment to say something. Like, and I think I can speak for Gina here, Chris. My God, the amount of work that you've put in to put this all together. I know a lot of people watching the show, come to see me, but
Yeah.
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But really, Chris is the guy that puts so much work into gathering the awards and
Yeah.
taking the pictures and contacting everybody and amassing the votes together. I mean, the amount of work that he puts in is unbelievable, and you deserve all the accolades. And in my opinion, you are the premier reviewer in the industry. You know, and again, thanks for putting this together. I'm glad to just be a part of it. But at the end of the day, man, the work that you put in.
Well, I hope.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks very much. I hope
Yeah.
people appreciate it and had fun. That's what it's all about. It's fun for me to do. That's why I do it. And I hope people had fun voting and had fun watching the show. We'll just give a
Sure.
shout out. David Giroux is now watching. I don't know if he was there earlier, but
Hi,
you did.
David. Comment
David,
ça
you did
va?
win an award, or were
Yes.
part of an award win. Your Vash the Stampede took home best large anime statue of 2019. So congratulations.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that about wraps it up. Any last thoughts? Any predictions for 2020? And people in the comments can chime in here too. Any predictions for statue, best stat, any category, doesn't matter. Just pick one. What do you think for 2020?
Ah,
If Prime One Alien comes out, no, sorry, Prime
Predator.
One Predator comes out this year, it has a decent shot.
That
Um,
I hope so.
I have a personal bias towards the Prime One Poison Ivy. I think that one has a decent shot too. But who knows? I don't know what Sumi's doing or Figurama's doing. I mean, they can come in and make huge noise also.
hmm It's really tough to choose. Gina, what do you think? Any
I,
predictions for 2020?
I guess, I mean, in the same vein as Charles, I'm a little biased. I think that Asajj Ventress might cause some big stirs, some positive stirs. I have her on order, so
Oh, the
um,
the Mythos.
yes, from the Mythos line.
Brian Kacharik, I think, did that one.
Absolutely.
One
So
of
I
our
think
panelists.
the Asajj Ventress. I do think that Prime One Predator can also really wow people. It wow people when it was shown
Yeah.
and when it's being shipped out, and
I've seen
yeah,
it. I've seen it firsthand. It blew me away. Blew me away.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
And what's incredible about this piece is that people are ordering despite, the shipping charge of what?
yeah.
500,
Yeah.
700? I don't know.
Well, on that particular one, it's less. And I'm not going to go into. I'm not even going to. Let's just forget we said that. I don't want anyone from Prime One to hear that. We'll just let that slip through and hope that it comes out that way. But
Oh,
yeah,
because the shipping price can change
yeah. I don't.
Is
I'm
that
hoping
true?
it doesn't get. Well, that's one of the disclaimers. It could change at the
Ah,
time of shipment. But yeah, for me, I think Figurama's going to have another strong year. The Alucard or Attack on Titan, if they do come out, and I think Alucard will come out. Those two right there. Um, yeah, I think Sideshow is going to continue to have a strong year.
I think I want to
Um,
add one other piece. When we were in New York, we got to see a lot of statues from XM.
mhm,
And there are two pieces that might be interesting in the running because we now know XM is doing smaller scale pieces, right?
that's right.
Right? They're doing more Bowen scale. Um, and I think the Wonder Woman and the Lobo could make some noise.
It's true.
Both are really
Uh,
nice.
Yeah.
Now, I will mention that the Joker came out last year. A few of them came out, and that's one of those ones where it hit most of the marks, but the production quality wasn't there. A lot of people got it damaged, and
yeah,
that's we had to keep it off. But otherwise, could have been there.
could have been.
But they've got an extensive lineup of 1/6 stuff that I think is gonna just into 2020. It's all going to come out,
Yeah.
and
And I think
well,
also,
we're
I think someone mentioned as well the Batman Who Laughs will probably come out, is coming
Right.
out, is being
well,
shipped now.
yeah,
I
it's
think
out
that
now. It's
one,
out now
yeah. So I think that might also be on the list. I think as well
for sure,
for this year. Yeah,
I
for
will make a
sure.
special mention for, but I think I'm starting to wonder if it was only Gina and I who liked it as much as we did, was the Samurai Harley Quinn.
that's right.
Mm.
It's,
That was a love or hate one. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people just didn't like it.
it might be
The
one of those
colors, I think,
pieces
was a
that,
problem
well, the
for people.
colors is what makes the piece,
Well,
you
well,
know.
exactly. But some people wanted it to be a different color bike or whatever. Um, so I thought it looked okay. I
I
thought it looked
think
good.
some guys just see pink and they just go
Maybe,
running. I don't know,
maybe.
but this is one of those pieces where I think if you saw it in person, it makes a difference. But I guess we'll see what's going to happen this year. I could be more excited about what's coming out quarter scale wise. You know,
Yeah.
I think we're hearing about smaller scale, meaning the Bowen type scale, the tweeterhead scale, and we're talking about third scale, right? Like
Yeah.
this is probably the first year where us as a group we're seeming more excited
Well,
about
I'll tell you
outside
one
our
quarter
general
scales,
our choice scale,
one
choice scale.
quarter scale statue that we didn't mention for 2020. The Rock. The
Ah,
Rock.
oh
He's coming
yes,
out. Yeah, and the
but
millions and millions of Rock fans are gonna show up and vote for that one.
yes.
Amazing piece. Um, hopefully, hopefully it does come out in 2020. I'm looking forward to it.
Most wrestling fans tend to be. I'm generalizing. I'm sorry what I'm about to say to all the wrestling fans who are about to hear what I'm about to say. But it's been my experience over the years that most wrestling fans are closet wrestling fans, right? They're not overly open about it. They might
A little
watch
bit,
it,
a little bit.
but you're taking it to the next level, right? You're openly having a rock statue on your display.
Absolutely,
This is very brave.
absolutely. I was big time wrestling fan growing up, especially that Attitude Era. I've got the Ultimate Warrior coming too. He was my favorite from the old school era. They're doing a good job with that line, Pop Culture Shock.
Ultimate
So
Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior, man.
That's even more difficult to display. But you
No
know what?
way.
Hey, you're allowed to like what you like. Absolutely.
That's right. Okay, so I just want to say thank you to everybody who was tuning in. We had a lot of people participating in the comments today. It's always nice to see. Thanks to everybody.
A lot of
Love
fun.
hearing their predictions and their picks and their reactions. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Statue Awards 2019 will be back in 2020. Similar format likely. Bigger and better industry award, and hopefully everyone has fun with it.
Great stuff. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.